Go Loud presents the Talking Bollox podcast.
What you waiting for? Put your back in it. Just a little more. Throw your weight in it now. Tell your body you can. Walk it hard and long. When you finish that,
The hip knocker.
go down, go down, go down. Come up, come up, come up.
Right, episode 49 of the Talking Bollox podcast, brought to you by Go Loud. It's me, Terry Flower,
It's me, COB.
and this week we're joined by
Adrian Kennedy.
Adrian Kennedy, the man, the myth, the legend. How are you, pal?
I'm good, yeah.
All good?
Yeah, I'm nervous doing this. I don't know why I'm nervous doing
Why are
this.
you nervous
I don't know
for?
what to expect.
You're with the lads now, will you stop our grand?
Yeah, it's mad actually being here with you, Adrian, and hearing your voice and then seeing a fella. It's weird because it's just something that we've just heard you for so long. You've never actually seen you. You know,
A
like
face
that.
for radio, that's what my mother always said.
Well, you said it, not me. But you know when people say, "Oh, it's nice to put a face to the name. It's nice to put a face to the voice." At this stage, yeah, it's madness.
Yeah, it was good. That's why the sketch was brilliant with the boys. You did the sketch with Darren and Joe. That
Yeah.
was fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
That's good crack, that, you know what I mean? But how's things anyways?
Yeah, good, yeah. Well,
Keeping busy?
I'm keeping busy, yeah.
Yeah, your own podcast now as well. Plug it.
We have our own, myself and Jeremy, we were working with 98 FM until April, and then we got fucked out.
Oh, good. Look, the
You got the
boys
crack
got
a
the
lack.
bill.
You got the P45.
And yeah, so we set up our own podcast. It's called Opinions Matter. It's also on Go Loud, and touch wood, it's going quite well.
What you do on that podcast?
It's like a radio show. It's
Similar?
very similar.
Phone calls and all?
Yeah, phone calls, everything. So we debate all whatever's in the news,
Yeah.
and we do it live on Facebook every day. So that's where we get the calls from, and then we podcast it afterwards. So it's done as a live recording,
Yeah.
every day, and then we podcast it. So before I came here, we did a conversation today about. Who has the kids on Christmas Day if you're separated? And there was murder.
Absolutely grand.
There was
The
murder.
boys are the king of controversy, aren't they? But you just have the perfect debates.
My stomach dropped down when he said that.
Bollocks. Keep away from that one.
So yeah, it's very different from what I mean. I've worked in radio all my life. This is the first time I haven't got a full-time job in radio since I was probably 17 or 18.
Madness.
So we're kind of reinventing ourselves a little bit, but I'm enjoying it, and I'm doing a bit of freelance work as well with News Talk and news reading. I haven't read a news bulletin for 25 years, and I'm back reading news again. So it's been a tough year, I have to say, but we're getting there.
Getting there.
It's a freedom of the podcast as well, though. You can course, you can say a lot more. It's what you want to talk about as well. It's no one saying, "Yeah, Adrian, you have to talk about this today," and you have to say that. And you're like, "All right."
It's the one thing I'm enjoying about it, actually, is not having somebody breathing down our neck saying, you can't talk about that, and you can't fucking curse, and all of that. So our new podcast is kind of. It's very like our old phone show on FM 104 in the stuff we can get away with. So I'm enjoying being my own boss and being able to do what we want to do as opposed to what we're told we can and can't do.
Yeah.
So
I feel like we're having an unplugged acoustic session here.
Yeah.
Take us into the next one there, and the guitar's going to come out.
But yeah, right. We'll get into everything. But before we do, we've zingers.
right,
Do you know what a zinger is?
I've learned.
You've learned. So Adrian listened to the Roddy Doyle episode.
If ever there was an episode to learn what a zinger is, that one we had about 40 zingers.
Yeah, literally. So we're going to go into the previous zingers from last week, yeah? Some of these are ridiculous because we had John McGuckin on again. Fucking disaster with these zingers he is. So, do you tip the barber yet or no, Adrian?
Yes.
Of course, you do the few quid, fella. Local.
No,
Keep the change, fella.
I give him the change out of 20. So my barber's about 15 for a haircut. So I give
Yeah,
him,
see, that makes sense.
I
You
give him the
agree
20.
with that.
Yeah.
You're all for that. You're barber, you know what I mean? They're like your counsellor, your barber, your mate. You get the whole works.
I've always wondered though, why do we tip certain professions?
And we
if
don't
you
tip someone else,
Yeah, if
like,
you go
yeah.
into Penny's and your woman puts your stuff into a bag and hands you your shopping, you don't give her a tip.
Because she doesn't get the money. It goes into the shop.
But
Yeah,
you
but
wouldn't.
same with the
But
barber.
you'd never think of tipping somebody like that. So why do we tip certain people and not other people?
Yo, look at the cause murder again, and I love it. No, so I tip. So if somebody opened a coffee shop and I know the money is going to that person who opened it, I'll tip them. But if I'm going into Starbucks, I'm not tipping Starbucks.
Yeah,
Why?
but then, where do you draw the line?
There's enough money that cunt.
Yeah, but you're not
Whoever
tipping
it
them.
is.
The tip goes to the person who served you.
Well, if I had known that, yeah, I would tip them.
Mm.
But like I think it's like most that goes into the shop, no? tips?
No, it depends.
It depends on the restaurant or whatever.
They pool the tips together. Some people, like if the three of us were working in a restaurant and someone gives you a fiver, that's your fiver. And some places that gets split between us.
Yeah.
And then in some places the manager gets in on the tips, which I think is a load of bollocks.
Yeah.
The manager's standing there bleeding behind the desk or whatever, doing whatever they do, managing. And this fella's out bleeding, busking tables, 20 plates at a time and all, sweating, gets a €2 tip. The manager gets a cut out of that.
Yeah.
I actually have a funny story about tips, and my board reminded me of when we were in Mexico, right?
Right.
So we rented push bikes because it was the easiest way of getting around. Because it's like there's only one road in and out. So when you're getting a taxi, you have to wait for them to come down and do a U-turn and go back out. So you're waiting ages. So we got push bikes or whatever. And we were back in the room, flaked out, and we had site dinner booked for 7. But we didn't cop on. We got a shower on. It was like 20 to 7. I was like, again, we get a taxi, we're going to be late. And she's like, come on, we just jump on the bikes and cycle down. And I was like, right, this will be a bit of crack. And I had me new Yeezys on, literally put them on. I goes, I'm not cycling with them on. I'm going to put my Yeezys in the basket and cycling me flip-flops down, right? So we get down and the valets are outside. There's a fancy restaurant and they're there to park your car. And I pull up beside them and goes, boys, where can I lock my bike? And they're looking at me as if to say, like, where valets, car park? And I was like, yeah, but where do I lock the bike? And they were like, oh, and he pointed out like this set of railings. So I locked the bike there. I locked my flip-flops to the bike as well. I went into the restaurant and my boy goes, I had to give your man a tip. I goes, for what, like? And she goes, oh, you just come over, so I'll just give him a tip to get him away. You know, I was like, that's a bit weird. Had a late night, wherever. Go back out to the push bike, and your man goes, have you got a tip for me friend? And I was like, is he going to be up? I goes, I'm going to get my bike. So I'm over there, I'm trying to open the bike. Pitch black, have me torch out on my phone, opening the lock. Get it open, sort myself out, and I turn around, and there's the two fellas are standing there. And I goes, what? And he goes, have you got a tip for me friend? I was like, for fucking what? I'm about to lock me bike to the bleeding railings here and you're looking for a tip on me? For me doing all the work. You literally just exist and you're looking for a tip. So I said to him, like, I was like, for what? And he's looking at me. And then I said in Spanish, his boy is porque. I goes, porque. And he looked at me and I was went, see you later. Out of here.
I got chased out of a restaurant in New York once over not leaving enough of a tip.
I heard stories, people coming over saying, giving tips back and saying, you need them more than me.
I worked out on my calculator that 20. I was given 20% tip, but I only gave 15%, right? And this waitress came screaming in front of the whole restaurant, what sort of gratuity is this? This is bullshit. And fucking screamed the house down in front of everyone. I'd never forget it.
In America,
it's very bad for
because they pay low. So if you are working in an industry that offers tips, you can pay below minimum wage.
Yeah,
so if it's a $5 as minimum wage, they can give you $3 an hour because you're going to get tips.
That's fucking madness.
So you have to tip over there. And in some places, they factor in the tip. So your bill could be a score, they factor in the tip, it could be 23, and then you have to tip on top of that to the waiter.
That's fucking madness, that is. Anyways, tangent over. Do you tip the barber, yes or no? 82% of people do, 18% don't. Scruffs. The next one is a peeler or a sharpener with a pencil.
Say that again?
Peeler or sharpener.
A parer, pencil parer,
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely.
Peeler, 86%, sharpener, 14%. Right, explain the meal one.
Right. So you can only have either one meal for the rest of your life, or you can never have the same meal twice. So every day will be a new meal. What would you pick?
The same meal for the rest of my life?
Yeah, so let's just say, I don't know, it was a pizza. You can only have pizza for the rest of your life every day, or you can never have pizza twice for the rest of your life. So every day will be a new meal. What one would you pick?
You see, I'm a shite eater, so I'm a very boring eater. I was actually on television last week eating mussels. Did you ever eat mussels?
No, hate seafood.
Oh, man. They're rank.
Boys, don't like them,
no?
Do you ever taste them?
No.
You into seafood?
Yeah.
I'd say you'd like them then. Cause
There's not a single thing on planet Earth that I want to eat. Not a single thing.
Well, then you'd be grand eating different dinners every day.
People who are fussy,
wouldn't.
I always say, you were brought up too well. And I'll tell you that now for a fact. You leave it there for 3 days, no food, you'll eat your fingers off, and you will. But go on.
No, it'd have to be the same meal every day because I'm such a bad eater.
And what's the meal?
Because I'd end up having something put in front of me that I wouldn't eat.
Yeah.
Probably a Sunday roast.
Every day?
Yeah.
Suppose I wouldn't get sick.
Tuesday roast.
Yeah.
Because if it was a different meal every day, every second day I'd be getting something that I won't eat.
Yeah.
Because I'm a really bad eater.
Well, then you'd get to like wherever you're eating then, wouldn't you, no?
Yeah. No. If it has onions in it.
No, that's childish, Adrian.
Yeah, no,
come on.
onions, no. So think of the amount of dishes that have onions in them.
Yeah.
And if I was presented with onions in front of me, I'd just starve that day. So it'd have to be same meal every day for the rest of my days.
And it'd be a Sunday roast.
It'd be a Sunday roast, yeah.
You can't
beat
argue
it. You can't beat it.
You can't argue.
No, I'm not going to argue with him. It's his choice.
Yeah. So, A new meal every day, 74% of people said that, and 26% said they'd eat the same meal.
Yeah. Do you know what I think that is? Because it's very hard to think of one meal for the rest of your life. Like, what's the one thing you know? I'll eat that for the rest of my life.
Yeah. See, I changed my mind, and you said you can do the different flavours for the meal. So you can do chicken noodles one day, curry noodles the next. I thought it was just going to be noodles once, and you're done, one and done.
No.
I was like, fuck.
Where do you come up with this shit?
Look at Adrian, we're 49 episodes in. You have to get creative.
Jesus, this is a bad one, John McGuckin. Rubber or an eraser? Rubber or eraser?
Oh, a rubber.
Yeah, a rubber.
Of course it's a rubber.
Fuck,
Who would
that's-
call it an eraser?
Joe McGuckin.
Calls it an eraser.
Well, apparently.
Yeah, that's the question he put to us anyways. And come here, listen to the results. 99% say rubber. 1%, but 1%, that was like 200 people.
Yeah, they probably clicked it by accident.
They had to, didn't they?
So the last time he was in, we done 2 episodes with Joe. The first time his ones were nappy or diaper.
Who calls it a diaper?
Exactly. 1% of people said diaper, and the exact same things had to happen now. He lived in New York for like a wet day, and next of all, he thinks people speak this way. Oh, he's fucking.
Shocking carry-ons. Next one, Chris Kringle or Chris Kindle?
Chris Kindle.
I thought it was Crindle.
No, Chris Kindle. Kindel.
Yeah.
Is it? I think.
But that's
Yeah,
what
I would imagine. No?
Yeah, yeah, we put it that way.
Chris Kringle, I think, is German, is it not?
It sounds
Is that how they
German.
say it in Germany?
It's a valid point. It sounds German, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Like, to be honest, I'm not going to I know what you're talking about. I'm not going to dispute it.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying Secret Santa. Or what was the other one?
Secret Santa, is all
I thought I was saying someone said something else for it, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, look, Chris Kringle, 15%, 85% Chris Kindle.
Bit
yeah.
early for that, to be honest with you now. Do you know what I mean? We're still
I
in
hate talking
November.
about Christmas in November.
It's
fucking
basically
hate it.
Christmas
So
now.
it's
After
ever-
walking through town down, there's Christmas lights everywhere.
You ever seen shops shut the 1st of November?
That's
all
it.
the Christmas stuff.
Yeah, I think Brown Thomas does it in like August.
Yeah.
They have their Christmas stuff up, like. You know what I
Can't
mean?
stand it.
No, it's a joke.
Around Christmas.
It does round
If you
it.
walk in them shops,
Yeah.
do you know
Hearing
when
the
you're-
same Christmas songs over and over and over again from
Do you know what I mean?
weeks
The
on
Mariah
end.
Carey thing's defrosted and all. She's out ready to rock, getting the royalties off that bleeding. All I want for Christmas.
She makes a certain amount of money a year off that. I can't remember how much it is.
She doesn't make more than the Pokes over Fairy Tale in New York.
Yeah,
We done this last year.
Remember
Yeah.
this conversation?
We
This
had
is the
this
41st
conversation.
episode.
Shane McGowan lives off that money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He only got his teeth done.
He did. He did. He looks ridiculous actually with his new teeth.
Does he?
Yeah.
Fair play to him. Shane, what's the story?
That's that boxed off. And then the last one, you're not going to have a clue, Adrian, yeah? A glitzy or a shiny? So, yeah, you won't have a clue, trust me.
Do you ever see the Premier League sticker books? I don't know. Do they still do them?
I couldn't tell you.
Do you know the
Yeah.
the sticker books?
Yeah.
And then like every team would have like the best player. It'd be like a glittery card. Like it'd be shiny, reflective stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
So like you would have your normal stickers, and then you'd have like your glitzies. So, but some people call them what, shinies?
Shinies. Fucking shinies, 88%.
Yeah. So 88% of the people call them
Someone texted
shinies.
saying that's Defo a towny thing. They call it a glitzy.
Yeah, it could be.
Is it? I never even... I understand why it's called a fucking shiny, but
Yeah.
a glitzy, I mean,
Yeah.
anyways.
Well, like glittery, the glitzy.
So-
yeah.
That's the previous zingers done. There's a page for it.
Now, so we have a thing that we're trying to do the last couple of weeks. I'm trying to hit the cameras as well. So what when you're going, for?
Middle camera. Slap her on the middle one, boys. Nearly had to put
Brutal.
a hole in the roof.
Jeez.
Crossbar.
Right. So, Adrian's at the coming in with a zinger or 2 or 3. I don't know how many he has for us, but I'm excited to hear them anyway, so hopefully they're controversial.
All right, we're
Adrian,
all dubs here.
Yeah.
We are indeed.
North side or south side?
Adrian, what sort of thing is that? It's north side all day. What do you mean?
Why is it north side all day?
Because what have we got that the south side? Sorry, what has the south side got that we don't? We have an airport.
Yeah, but you can only have one airport now.
Yeah, well,
What
yeah,
is
the
more
south side
than
have our airport, don't they? Mic drop. This conversation's over. Wrap it
No.
up.
Valid point.
No.
Right, give us the pros.
Croke Park pisses all
No,
over
come
the
here,
Aviva.
don't-
Well, you see, I've both. I was born on the south side.
Why you though?
Was I?
Yeah.
Oh, I was actually born on the north side. Now that you mentioned, I was
Never
born
done
on the
that.
Rotunda.
There you
yeah,
go.
yeah.
Hang on. And where were you raised?
In Ballybragg, which is on the south side.
Right. So what? Are you north or south sider?
I'm now an adopted north sider. I live out the north side now,
Yeah.
where I grew up most of my life. My kids live on the south side, and I married my second wife, and we live out in the north side. So I've seen both.
So you have a valid opinion.
I've seen, I've seen
Opinions
both.
matter.
Yeah, good man. Thanks for the plug.
Look after you,
Opinions
Adrian,
matter.
don't be worrying.
I've seen both. I actually find it hard to say but I prefer the north side. I prefer the rural north side.
What are you arguing with the devil?
North County Dublin.
Like
but
Lusk and Rush and
all that, beautiful,
them.
yeah. But you can't beat out around Dalkey and Killiney for beauty. It's spectacular.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. I don't know. What?
Now, have you ever been out the south side?
Barely. So before this started, I was chatting to Adrian. I was over in Stephen's Green Shopping Centre for the very first time ever.
Yeah.
Me and Owen were over there. Owen was grabbing a sambo. And
I can't get over that.
Owen chased me like, it's nice in here, isn't it? And she says, I've never in here in my life.
Yeah.
What the fuck would I be in here for? And he's shocked at it.
I
The
couldn't
fact
believe
that-
it. Like, the centre's there 30 years.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
why would I go to Stephen's Green Shopping Centre when I have the Ilac and the
Because it's nicer than the Ilac. The Ilac's a fucking kip.
No, it's not. When you
kip.
stop the one
It's a
shop and
kip.
all Starbucks and all the little Argus.
It's a dump of a shopping centre. It's the worst shopping centre in Dublin.
No, but Calvin, the Ilac's the spot.
It's hard to argue. I'll give him that.
It's a kip.
I feel like the north side is Dublin, as in Dublin, whereas Dublin is the south side.
That's controversial. Do you know what?
There's more character on the north side.
Why
It will
are-
take this man to the heart and all
Why
that.
are
You
so
for
many
real.
people socialising in Dublin on the south side of the river?
Temple Bar. Big
All
name.
on the but not just Temple Bar, South William Street, all these the areas around Dublin too. Why are people drinking there? Because O'Connell Street and all around there is a kip. It's
There's
an
no pubs in
absolute
O'Connell
dump.
Street. Come on,
There is a
think
few.
of-
There is
what?
a few. Yeah.
One.
No, there's about 3 or 4 or 5.
So
But
why is there no
I
one
wouldn't
drinking
go-
on
I wouldn't go
Westmoreland Street?
drinking
then?
in O'Connell Street to save me life. I wouldn't.
No one drinks on Grafton Street.
Just off Grafton Street.
People drink
okay.
just off O'Connell Street.
No, you see, the O'Connell Street has Dublin ruined. It's disgusting. It's horrible. So that brings
what
down the.
way? In what way? In
It's
what
just
way?
a manky.
I'd agree that it is. It could be better. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know if I agree with you on that.
It's awful.
Come here.
As the main, if you go down to Cork, Patrick Street in Cork is the main street in Cork,
Yeah.
and it's a great street.
But they don't have a Lewis.
O'Connell Street, no, they don't.
It's a valid point.
O'Connell Street should be a lovely boulevard with like outdoor dining areas, and instead it's all bloody fast food shite. It's an awful street. It really is. I'm dying to see what happens with Cleary's when Cleary's reopens
Yeah.
as whatever it's going to reopen as, because I remember. Myself and Jeremy did a thing years ago where we lived in the window of Cleary's for a week, right? And I literally slept in the window. So we saw the world go by O'Connell Street for a whole week. And it's awful. It's just junkie central. It's got no heart to it at all. And the south side of the city has a bit more heart in it, has a bit more class.
Well, yeah, but I think that's not O'Connell Street's fault. That
It
the
is.
socio-economic problems are kind
they
of
haven't-
centred
They
that
haven't
allow
developed
it.
it properly.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's due to the problems that lie outside of O'Connell Street, just off. So you have your Abbey Street where drugs are centralised and
Yeah.
they're allowed to be sold there. That's why the Lewis was put down there to increase the flow of traffic to try and get them off. And they haven't combated that properly. To say that it's junkie central, that's kind of.
But it is.
That's a bit harsh.
You ask anybody, would you feel safe walking down O'Connell Street at 11 o'clock at night on your own? And I guarantee you the majority of people will say no.
So let's just discredit the whole north side because it has a drug
But it's
problem here.
it's the biggest street in the city.
Yeah.
And it's awful. I hate it. Hate it.
Right. So your whole hate for what 500 metre stretch of the city reflects then the whole half of the
actually,
city.
my wife, when she was younger, would have socialised all around O'Connell Street and whatever because she's a Northsider. And she hates it now. She thinks it's awful. Down around Parnell Street and all. It's horrible.
Yeah, of course it's horrible, but so is the south side. When you
No, it's not as bad.
Westmoreland Street's a kip. I walk through Westmoreland Street to get here and the
Westmoreland
smell of the
Street
place.
maybe, but there are nicer parts on the south side of the city than
Walk
the
down
north
South
side.
William Street and tell me that.
Well, compare the Ilac Centre to Stephen's Green Shopping
The Ilac,
Centre.
hang on for a minute. Duns and the Ilac is huge, yeah?
Yeah.
What else have we got? The Ilac just needs investment. Stephen's Green has investment. The Ilac doesn't.
It's always been a kip of a shopping centre, though.
No, I wouldn't say always. No, that's
has.
pretty much. And then you have they're trying to redevelop it as well. That's why they're trying to knock down half of Moore Street to increase the size of the Ilac.
We'll see what that all turns out like.
Well,
Right.
they're going about where ours
Anyway,
was.
there you are. There's me zinger. South side or north side? So, have you ever been out the south side?
Where's
Yeah,
he now?
I think shit, the south side's a fucking kip. That's the truth. I love the north side. I wouldn't change a single thing about it. Don't get me wrong, there is problems in it and things like that. But I wouldn't change a thing about it. I love it. I love everything about it. I love O'Connell Street. I love the Quays. I love the whole lot.
And you?
I'd agree.
Right, we'll agree to disagree then.
Yeah, I love that. I love the heart of the city centre. You know what I mean?
I just think it could be so much better.
Of course,
think
but the
it's just
whole city could be so much better, Adrian.
I think it's portrayed completely different online and in the media and things like that to what it actually is. And this whole thing about it not being safe, come here. There's assaults happening all over the country, all over the city, over the south side as well. But the ones in the city centre are obviously, unfortunately, we had the Olympian Jack Woolley who got assaulted on the case there, obviously recently. So when that happens, boom, it blows up everywhere. But people getting assaulted all over the south side just because they're not Olympians. It's not going all over the papers and things like that. So that just makes the city centre look worse than it actually is.
Yeah.
So I don't believe that it's as bad in terms of assaults and theft and things like that because people think you can't walk down there. So you gotta hiding because they seen an Olympian getting, which was obviously wrong. But when that goes out, blows up all over the newspapers everywhere, boom, the city centre's a kip. But it's not like that. Come here, there is problems. Don't get me wrong, there's problems all over the south side and all over this country. All over the fucking world. You can't change it. It is what it is. But I love the north side and I love the city centre.
What's your favourite part of the north side?
O'Connell Street's up there.
I only moved out last week, Adrian, right?
Yeah.
And the missus read the address from where we moved to. And when she got to the last line and it says Dublin 9, my stomach actually sank. And I was like, oh. And then she read the air code and I was like, D09. And I said, just stop talking, I'm going to get sick. And I was like, that's ridiculous. I was like, it took me nearly an hour to get here. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
It's not because he's not saying that because the problem of the area is that it's just because he's so used to being in
town. I love it. I love it. And do you know what?
So why did you move then?
Because I had to move.
He's
I was
living in
priced out.
Mascaf, yeah.
I was living at home. That's why I moved. It's not as if I could I'll just stay here the rest of my life. I would. Don't get me wrong. If I could have moved next door to me Mascaf, I would have. Do you know what I mean? I need space. I have a nipple But I love the north side. I love the south side as well. It's just I think it's the people that make the area. And don't get me wrong, we have problems, like you said, with the socio-economic problems. But there's classist problems all over Dublin. Do you know what I mean? There's parts of the north side I go to and people are turning their nose up to me. There's parts of the south side it's the same. There's parts of the south side I go to and people sound like me. You know, like that. But I like the north side more. I think it has more amenities there for us. Shopping is so much easier. Whereas you go over the south side, you've like Grafton Street, you've Stephen's Green or whatever, then Dundrum, which is miles away. Do you know, like that? Everything is on your doorstep on the north side. I think it's all centralised perfectly.
We'd agree to disagree.
And then the airport is only, 7k from O'Connell Street or something like that as well, so it's a handy one.
Now, I love the rural part of North County Dublin, which is where we live. We live at the back of the airport, but in the middle of nowhere. And the great advantage to that is shit broadband. We have the worst there's better broadband on Achill Island than there is where we live, and there's no sign of it improving. So when we set up our podcast, I would have had enough room to build a little studio at the house, and we just couldn't because the broadband is so bad we just couldn't do it. So.
Shocking.
That's a drawback of living in rural.
First world problem.
Yeah, it is a first world problem, but it's not even a first world problem anymore. Broadband is so essential for everything that we do now. For example, during the lockdown last year, I couldn't work from home because our broadband is so shite. And when I went onto the website recently, it's 2024 before we're going to have broadband out where we live. So.
Remember there was that ad and I was like, I think it was Achill, and we're like, we're going to make this the most connected island in the world.
Well,
we're going to make this island the most connected island in the world. This show is a kip. It's in bits. Like, I can't even get internet in the gap. I'm hotspotting as well. And I work from home. I have to hotspot everything, you know what I mean? Then I have to hotspot, like, for anything we need. You want to watch something on the iPad, I hotspot that down, trying to hotspot my laptop as well. Poor phones.
And we do the exact same, and it's a pain in the arse. So it's not. It isn't a first world problem anymore because people need it so much for everything. For everything, you can't watch Netflix without broadband. You can't. There's so much you can't do. And like I said, I couldn't do a radio show from my house because our broadband is so shite.
Have you got another singer? Thought you had two.
That was a very controversial one to say the least, anyways.
Okay, this is a simple one.
We're warming up.
Club Orange
or Fanta?
You're
A
sponsored by them,
Fanta.
are you?
No,
Right. Fanta.
why?
Because that has bits.
But isn't that the whole point of an orange drink?
No, you don't have to have bits in it for it to be an orange
it makes it
drink.
an orange drink, though.
So obviously you're a club man.
Fanta, yeah, and I had a choice in the machine outside, and I went for the Club Orange because of the bits. It's the only orange drink that I know of anywhere that has bits in it.
No, don't get me wrong. I drink it, but I prefer Fanta.
Fanta's just coloured water.
But it's not, though, is it? It's orange.
What
Yeah,
about
but-
Rock Shandy? Best about worlds. Rock Shandy's whopper.
Yeah, it is. I agree. They didn't have it in the machine, but
I got heartburn on Black Shandy. There'll be
you?
bits of it. I don't know why.
Do you know where Fanta came from?
Where?
Do you know where it came from?
No.
There was a blockade in Germany when after World War II. So obviously with the communist blockade, and they were trying to make a soft drink, and they wanted to compete with Coca-Cola, and due to the ingredients they only had at the time, they could only make Fanta, and it just became popular then. And now we have Fanta.
Jesus,
and then I think
never knew.
Coca-Cola.
The one thing about
Fanta then.
the one thing about Fanta I've noticed is it's a different colour in different countries.
Yeah.
In some countries, it's nearly yellow looking.
In Spain.
And it's nearly yellow looking, and here it's orange looking. So Club Orange is the best. I don't know how it doesn't sell outside of Ireland because it's a beautiful drink. Mind you,
He's definitely sponsored.
Isn't he?
no, because
100%.
I'm not sponsored.
Oh, you're
because
looking for
You're
sponsorship.
looking for a sponsor.
You're that.
No, because what I'm about to say wouldn't get me sponsorship.
Here we are.
Away.
The amount of sugar in Club Orange has more sugar than any other fizzy drink on the market.
More than Coke?
Yep. Yeah.
Did they not get rid of all the sugars because
No.
of sugar tax?
43 grams of sugar. Now, I don't know how many spoonfuls that is, but it's a lot.
Yeah,
It's a lot of sugar. So that's, more than...
grams of Hilva.
Yeah, straight away. Straight away, yeah.
So, sponsors deal is off because it's so much sugar, but it's a lovely drink.
But I thought you had to get rid of the sugars, didn't they? Or they changed the kind of sugar because of sugar tax. That's why Luke's I taste dirt these days.
It's horrible, yeah.
It's rotten.
That's because they changed the sugar in it.
I've refused to drink it. It's rotten.
Yeah, they changed the sugar in it, and that's what they did. That's why the prices all went up there a while ago. But anyways, Club Orange are a fan of Canta.
No, he's in that door. Let me just get it out of the way.
Go on then.
Is it Dungarees?
Oh, good luck. Do you know why I say good luck? Because I have this debate with the missus all the time.
Really?
All the
You
time.
call them Dungareens?
Yeah.
So do I.
Yeah, so, yeah.
That's definitely a north side thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, because do you know who I shout out to the doctor message? That now kind of he said to me he used to wind all the albums up, so we'd be all down to the club and the albums were going down. They'd bring those on the trip or whatever. And he'd be winding all the albums up saying, yeah, what you call them things then? They'd be Dungareens.
Yeah, Dungareens.
But we called them Dungareens. I didn't.
Yeah.
I said,
You didn't know...
I didn't know, yeah. I didn't know. I genuinely... and I have this debate all the time, bro.
Yeah,
all the
You have
time.
to say, what's the actual name for it?
Yeah.
Dungarees.
Did you ever see that film, Dennis the Menace?
No.
With Mr. Wilson. Did you ever see it? No. And he wears them. And because we only watched it a couple of weeks ago, and I came back up and I was like, what does he have on? And she was like, Dungarees. And I was like, the Dungareens.
You're just looking for an argument. You're just like...
But no,
get
that's
a
what I
picture
call.
up
She
there.
always calls them that, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
she always calls me out on that.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
you see an old picture. Like, everyone used to wear them when you were a
Oh,
kid.
yeah,
You know, like that.
everybody had
Everyone had a
the
pair of them. But yeah. And then my shy singer as well, because we are. Now, I think after this week, I really mean it. I think we are done. Because I can't think of another one. I usually have a backlog, a little few screenshots. I pull one up every now and again. Do you call it French toast or eggy bread? I never
French
in my
toast.
life heard someone call it eggy bread, but it's
No, I have heard people calling it eggy bread.
That's
All right,
childish.
I haven't.
But it's childish, yeah.
very childish.
No, it's French
I was
toast.
going into
Definitely.
a cafe. Can I get eggy bread and a coffee there, please?
I remember seeing it on a menu in a restaurant
As eggy
in
bread?
Dublin, yeah, as eggy bread, yeah.
And come here, do you reckon if you go to Paris and say give us toast, they'll give you eggy bread, or will they just give you regular toast?
You'd have to ask for. Yeah.
Good point.
Good point, yeah.
Good point, isn't it?
You just get ordinary toast.
Do you just get if you go to a restaurant in Paris and say, "Can I get toast?" Do you get French toast or do you get regular toast?
That's a decent one.
Valid point. No.
You're getting toast, and that's it.
You'll get some sort of bread.
Some sort of bread that's burned into a crisp.
Yeah, bread cooked twice. Not
Yeah.
mad, isn't it? Toast. Like imagine getting bread in me like that was a little cooker again there. You know what I mean? Right.
Right, suggestions, Calvin.
Shout out to that little woman who got Ronaldo's jersey the other night.
yeah,
She's
legend.
a legend.
Legend.
Absolute hero. Wasn't happy to hear that she was eligible to get a $3,000 fine though. That was a load of bollocks.
But it applies to anybody who invades the pitch.
Yeah.
So she invaded the pitch, but they waived the $3,000 fine.
So it's subjective then, they're discriminating, is what they're saying.
Yeah, but there wasn't just her. There was a few got
She
onto
was
the
just
pitch.
quicker.
Yeah, she was just quicker. Yeah. But I mean, the story just went wild, and you couldn't be slapping a fine of $3,000 on a kid.
Well, look.
So does that mean any kid can just run on the pitch now and not get a fine, Adrian?
Well, that's it.
Because
Saying,
everyone will be sending their kids out now. So look, she didn't get a fine. You go on out
If
there.
she can sell the jersey, she'll get a lot more than $3,000. So
I doubt it.
she will.
$3,000, what? $3,000 for Ronaldo's jersey and a bar and nil-all draw and a World Cup qualifier game in the Aviva with Ireland.
But
And the
just-
game doesn't score. then?
Just because it's Ronaldo's jersey, that sells.
It's not signed though. $3,000, boys.
People that buy that, bro. You put that up for auction, I guarantee there's Ronaldo fans out there who bid on that.
I don't know.
Yep.
We'll have a look. But I seen, I think it was
Why do you think she should have been fined?
No, definitely not. Definitely
Yeah.
not.
I was
But
just
I
playing
seen
devil's
it.
advocate there when they were
Yeah.
saying, oh, everyone sends their kids on, but everyone sends their kids on.
But when Ireland beat New Zealand in the rugby the other day, I seen a young fella on and one of the players gave him his boots then. So it's just a trend, you know what I mean? They're going to be fucking clotheslining
I don't think
11-year-olds.
I don't think there's a fine for rugby. Maybe I'm wrong.
What?
I don't know if there's a fine.
You can't get a fine for running onto a rugby pitch for a football pitch.
You can have a pint of beer watching a rugby match in the
Which is
Aviva.
a
You
joke.
can't have one watching a football match.
Yeah, it's a joke.
Yeah. So there is.
Do you ever go to rugby match, Terence?
Never in my life.
Do you know what I don't get about rugby? So you know when you're taking the pen out, and everyone shushes and goes quiet. That wrecks my head.
That's deadly though.
Why?
It makes the atmosphere. It makes it really
But
tense.
everyone going quiet.
So what, everyone goes quiet when there's a penalty?
70,000 people go quiet to let this fella kick a ball. Yeah. Whereas when it's a penalty in the Champions League
Let me
final.
just stop you there, yeah? Birthday to
I'm at against Stung.
birthday to you. Happy birthday. He's had to go and pick. Look at him.
Forgot the lighter.
I forgot the lighter.
Smoke and you don't have a lighter.
I might have been texting them trying not to look ignorant.
And we only got
I forgot it. Did I have to go and pink fire there?
Yeah, look at just Photoshop that.
couldn't fit all of them on it.
I know, that's why I was saying
Get
it.
one,
Just put the
HBD.
HBD does the trick.
Thanks, girls. Thanks. I'm bleeding sick now.
Yeah, Penny, cut it up.
100%.
Yeah, cut it up slices first. And then you make the stack, okay?
You still legends, nice one.
See you
Here we are now. Scarlet for me, ma, for having me, what?
Oh, I went pink fire for some reason.
I was wondering what you were doing on your phone as well. I was like, you better grab that fucking phone.
I know, I'm not sitting there saying, he's going to think I'm an ignorant cunt. But I was short there now, so yeah.
Bastards.
So me and Owen obviously went over to get you a cake and we were looking at the big fancy ones, but then that was down. It's called Calvin the Caterpillar.
Is it actually?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Seven
Nice
weeks
one,
old.
Owen. Appreciate that.
Yeah, so happy birthday.
Thanks very much. Yeah.
Did you have a good birthday?
I did,
I know
yeah.
you was in the middle of talking about something, but yeah, it was
I did.
rugby.
Yeah.
Why did you say it like that?
No, I'm Scarlet. I don't know what to do.
Right. Moving
What are we
on.
talking about there?
I don't know what we were talking about.
What are we talking about, Adrian?
Birthdays, actually. How important is a birthday?
Very important.
I used to
Love
hate.
this. I want you to hear us with a load of days ones, a load of days
Working in
controversial.
an office, I used to hate the birthday cake being brought in like that in front of everybody. I just think it's pathetic because we all have a birthday. It's no, happy birthday and all that. But I used to find it really embarrassing if all the staff would arrive in just like that with the birthday cake. I'd be humiliated.
Adrian, I looked at your face there, you looked fuming, you did. What was nice? Like, I thought you didn't like the two girls. I was like, what's he not like about
No,
this?
we all have a birthday. Yeah, I just
So
never.
you think that they shouldn't be celebrated?
If anything, your mother's the one that should be celebrating because it's the day she gave birth.
But she
I've always
also has a
wondered
birthday.
what's the big deal with the birthday.
Because
It only comes once a year, celebrate your life, no?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but like...
I understand what you're saying, because look, I'm at the age now where, like, my birthday's another day. Don't give a bollocks about it. But I think, like, my kids and stuff like that.
For
not even my
kids, yeah.
But your birthday is still your birthday. It's still
Yeah,
nice to
but
be.
it's only once a year.
Yeah, it's only
It's not as if you're doing it every month and you're like, oh, this again. It's once a year.
So what do you think about Christmas?
I don't mind Christmas.
So what's the difference? Well, you're celebrating the day Jesus was born.
I wasn't really born that day.
Well, whatever it was. And then, but you won't celebrate your own?
I just never get big birthdays. Maybe a 30th or 40th or whatever.
Well, they're the ones you do the parties for.
Yeah. So I'm going. My sister's 50 this weekend, and we're going to a party for her.
Any invites?
No.
No.
All right, off the bat.
Down in Wexford.
No.
It's in
Yeah.
Wexford.
Right, I
We'll
drive.
travel, don't worry.
I drive.
No. He looked at the
You haven't even been past the south side. How did you get to Wexford?
Yeah, right. Hey, I was in Glendalough the other day.
That's Wicklow.
Yeah.
Halfway
Good
there.
going, Halfway there.
Halfway there.
Yeah.
Glendalough,
But anyway, yeah.
but
No, in a work environment, I always think it's
I wouldn't look at it.
childish being.
Yeah, don't be doing like the cake and all, but bring a cake in and be like, there's the cake there. Yeah, grand, it's in the staff room. Whose birthday is it? Adrian? Happy birthday, Adrian. Thank the slice your cake, gone back to me desk there, whatever. That's grand. No need for the rigmarole and all, you know what I mean?
What, like that?
No, that there's not for me, Scarlet boys, yeah.
But imagine in an office full of
Yeah,
people.
don't mind that. Just there's the cake. We move on.
And
yeah.
now I'm all for it. Fucking make them go pink, sing the song, have the boys go back to work. Bob's your uncle.
Yeah. I think they should be celebrated though. They're only once a year. You're celebrating someone's life, you know what I mean? No.
Not having
No,
it.
nobody cares.
I care.
I care about
I cared for
Harvey's
Taryn's birthday, yeah.
Don't be flirting, you.
Yeah. No.
No.
Hey.
No, I just don't get it. It's your birthday, grand. So what?
Yeah.
It's the same as yesterday. It's the same as the next day.
It's not really though, because my numbers had to change and I was 27 and 28 now. What did 20 do when he was hungry? 28.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
bro, love that. But yeah, any more controversial ones like that? What else you not like?
I'm just in the mood for a row tonight.
Yeah,
love
you're coming
that.
across as a bit of a Scrooge.
Yeah, the Scrooge fella.
Yeah.
As a Scrooge, because
Yeah.
I don't like. I think
just
it's childish
celebrating
for
them.
grown adults to be.
Yeah.
Like I had a colleague who used to take his birthday off work. He used to
Yeah.
take. What's that all about?
My mate used to, Bob Walsh, shout out to Bob Walsh again, used to take the day off school, then he'd take the day off college, and then he'd take the day off work.
What's that all about?
Because he's dead right.
For what?
To celebrate.
Come on, a howly 3-day bender.
Do you know what I mean? And now, God bless you if it was on a Friday, because you wouldn't see him till the Tuesday.
That's a fact, and it's a valid point. I think he's dead
You
right.
should be celebrating it once a year, a little blowout, you're changing numbers, good luck.
No.
No?
You're just not having that, you know?
No.
You had it.
Just
Do
pathetic.
you know what? Someone must have forgot your birthday, Adrian. That's what it
That's
was.
what it is.
It's always forgotten about.
Yeah. When was it?
March.
March. Right. If
How
we're still
old are
around
you?
this time next year, we'll give you a
want to-
shout.
How
March.
old do you think I am?
21.
I wish.
How old?
54.
You're only a pup. What are you giving out about
I
the
know.
birthdays for?
You're
Adrian?
too young to be giving out about age, Adrian. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe that's what it is.
Have you
Yeah.
got kids?
Yeah.
Do you celebrate their birthdays?
Yeah.
So
No
when do you
matter
stop
what age
celebrating
you
their
are.
birthdays?
Say again?
No matter what age, like if one of them was 24, would you like, oh, here's a cake.
Well, my kids are 24 and 28.
See that? That was a good shout.
That's a
And
serious
28 as well. I'm scared.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, I'd never forget their birthday.
Yeah, I know, but would you do that for them?
No.
Would you give them a card?
Yeah. Yeah. And a cake.
And do they
maybe.
do that for you?
No.
Is that what it is then?
That's
Maybe
exactly
I'm
what
just
it
bitter
is.
and
Yeah,
twisted. am I?
He's
yeah,
hard.
yeah.
He's
If I
hard.
can't have it, no one's having it.
Yeah, he's hurt. I could see the heart, like.
My birthday's always been, well, has always been on the 13th of March, so it's 4 days before Paddy's Day, and it
Yeah.
kind of always gets forgotten. So,
I know someone whose birthday's on Paddy's Day.
yeah, I have a niece whose birthday's
So
on
imagine
Paddy's
that.
Day as well,
That's
yeah.
the worst thing ever. Like, my two little brothers, I have two little twin brothers, and they're born on Christmas Day. Jay O'Neill's birthday is Christmas Day as well. Shout out Limitless Boxing Club. But Jay O'Neill's birthday is Christmas. I'd hate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd
Imagine
hate that myself, yeah.
Like, you're just getting nothing out of it.
Yeah, you're literally just getting one present.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and yeah, when you're a kid, you can just sting them as well, you know what I mean? Say, look, there's your birthday present and your Christmas present.
Yeah.
You'd have got the same thing anyways.
Yeah.
Do you get me?
Yeah, but that's what's wrong. Adrian, right, chalk that into the calendar there. Yeah, boys, 13th of March. Get
We'll
Adrian
be-
a cake.
We'll get you a cake. I'm
Thanks,
telling you,
lads.
we'll celebrate with you. We'll go back on the gargle and off you.
Yeah.
But I would actually, my birthday could come and go and I wouldn't even notice it.
We will, Adrian. We'll celebrate.
We won't
Don't worry. You'll
forget
get a little
you.
message
Okay,
off
thanks,
us. Happy
Make me
birthday.
feel special.
HBD, how are you? You know what I mean?
Right, I just sat there, just brave past the messenger, saying, I'll get back on the gargle for you. But, heard something on the radio today and I want to talk about it. What's the story with me going on a night out and spending the exact same amount of money I would on a night out if I drank? Because non-alcoholic drinks are the exact same price.
Ridiculous.
Adrian, give
But
me
even
that paper,
though I drink it every now and again. On Saturday night I was out and I had 2 Erdinger non-alcoholics because I was driving.
Very posh.
And it's, I believe it's more expensive to produce. Certainly with some non-alcoholic drinks, they have to make it with the alcohol and then take the alcohol back out again. Otherwise
sense.
it's not the same thing.
But why is it so cheap in the shops? So you go into a shop, you can get bottles and cans for dirt cheap. Fuck all, you get 6 cans
Is
of
it?
Heineken or wow for about bleeding 5 or 5.20 or something.
Is it, yeah?
Yeah, but if you go in and you order one in the pub, you're getting charged $5.50.
I remember during the summer, I was drinking non-alcoholic Copperberg, and it's very hard to find. Only certain amount of shops have it. And it was, I think it was oh no, it was cheap. It was only like €2 a bottle.
that's
And then like a
cheap.
normal bottle of Copperberg is like €4 a bottle or something like that in the shop.
The bigger bottles, they'd be...
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, they'd be definitely there.
But yeah, it actually was. It was like half the price.
Yeah,
maybe.
no, but like Heineken now was what I drink, because I used to drink beer, I still drink beer. Like, but, so in the shop, they're dirt cheaper in a pub, they're bleeding the same.
And John, what else is expensive? Red Bull. Red Bull was like a $5. When I used to drink, when I start going out, I used to drink Red Bulls, but not now. You bleeding, you take a bleeding banger.
Oh, stop.
But people do say, "Oh, you save a load of money." I was like, that kind of Red Bull is dearer than what you're drinking. You know, like the boys be drinking a bottle or something. But and then some places you go and they have a deal on where it's like a vodka and Red Bull is like €4, and I used to say to them like, right, give us the Red Bull and don't put the vodka in, and then give someone else the vodka because it's cheaper. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous.
I think they should subsidise non-alcoholic
But
beers.
you wonder why people are drink driving. Do you know what I mean?
Because it's
Have
cheaper
one.
to get drunk.
Well, basically, have one and then one leads to 2, and then they're getting in the car with 2 drinks in them. You know what I mean? And
That's
there's
how I always have people coming up saying, you must save a fortune. I'm fucking spending more than you
yeah,
cunt.
that
You know
round
what I
cost
mean?
around the non-alcoholic probably costs more than a full fucking normal.
Yeah,
round.
it should be subsidised. It should be cheaper. It should be made easier. Like I enjoy my beer, but if so, the other night I was out, and I like to have a beer, or at least look like I'm having a beer. I don't know why that is. I wouldn't sit there drinking a
Makes you
Coke.
feel like a part of it, doesn't it, or something?
Yeah. But I think it should be subsidised. I think it should be easier for people to not drink.
Give you more of an inkling than not if you're trying to stay off it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're sort of going, look, I can go out here and bleeding €2 a bottle of that, grand, whatever, instead of paying fucking $5.50 and €6.
How do you find not drinking around people who are drinking?
At
I hate
first, I didn't really like it, so I didn't. actually associate with anybody that was for a long time. But now I'm grand. Now I'm grand. But I go out and run amok, have a party, stay out till the next morning with all the boys, stone cold sober.
Yeah, no, I can't. I really struggle to be around people if I'm not drinking and they are.
Now, would have been like that because I don't drink at all now. But when I used to drink, I'd have never went out unless I was drinking. I'd have never went out. Fuck that. What's the point? Do you know what I mean? Like when you're drinking, like if you're able to have a drink and you're just choosing not to drink, have a gag. That's what you say. And say, fuck, I'll just have a drink. And you're out for about whatever, yeah. But you as well, you're grand.
Yeah, I'm beyond grand. Like that doesn't even cross my mind. That's it. Like I'll never drink. You know, I never like to use the word never, but I'll never drink. Because I'm comfortable. I've never been out and not drink. Sorry, I've never been out and drank. That's what it was. I've never been out and drank. I've always not drank.
You've never drank?
No, I've tried it and I've been down that road, but I learned when I was really young it's not for me, and I've been to serious things in my life without it. Like I've been to festivals, I've been to Ibiza, I've been to Vegas, I've been to all sorts. Every party I've ever at, I've been on rollovers, stone cold sober. Like that's when we started this podcast, people like I've been in gas with him. Can only imagine what a podcast is going to be like. You know what I mean?
Burning the edge off.
And why do you not drink?
Problems with it. You know what I mean? Just like shit.
So you were drinking too much?
Yeah, drinking every day. Like not every day, drinking most days, but then other stuff that comes.
It was a problem, you know what I mean? And he addressed it, and he's moved past, and he's a better person for it.
Yeah, fuck that.
Sounds like you might have something you need to address there, Adrian. If you can't go out and not drink, I'm not trying to be funny. Like,
I would avoid a situation of going out if I wasn't drinking for whatever reason.
I do not think that's horrible that you can't actually communicate with other people without having a drink.
No, it's not that. I find it difficult to communicate with people when they are drinking. I find them gobshites, basically. And when you're sober, it's so hard to, if they're half pissed, to deal with them.
I understand what you're saying. Some people are a nuisance when they have a few drinks on them, and when they're sober, they're grand, but a few drinks, you're sort of like,
do I have to put up with this shit? So I avoid that situation. So it's not that I can't go out and not have a drink. It's I don't like mixing with people who are drunk if I'm not on the same page.
But then if you were drinking, do you not think that you're in that kind of same boat then?
Probably, probably. But it's I've always, like, for years DJing in nightclubs and having to deal with people who are locked out of their head. Hey, mister, will you play a song? And nearly puking on top of you. I just find dealing with drunk people difficult. I don't get drunk myself very often though.
Yeah.
But I enjoy my beers.
It's a valid point.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with him. Let him.
Right, suggestions over. All the limelight on the big fella now. Adrian, what we do with every guest, just tell us where you're from, what life is like.
Do you remember Cilla Black? What's your name? Where'd you come from?
My name is Adrian Kennedy. I come from Ballybrack originally, which is out the south side. You must pass by someday.
Sorry to hear.
My mum and dad still live in Ballybrack. And then I got involved in radio when I was 16. Did my very first radio show at 16 years of age.
How did you get into radio? What makes you want to do that?
I always had a fascination with radio. I don't know why.
Did you really though?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I really did.
You think what's look? I can't imagine being a young kid and going the radio.
Because it's a different world now. Radio isn't as important now as it was, when I was younger. Yeah,
radio was the internet back then, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It's where you heard new songs for the very first time. You could only hear them on the radio. You couldn't download them or stream them or whatever. So I was always fascinated. So I did my very first radio show when I was 16, and I worked in radio until April of this year when I was made redundant. So this is the first time I've not had a full-time job in radio since I was a kid. So during the years that I worked in radio, I've done everything. I've read news, I've done talk shows, I've done magazine shows.
Very popular ones, by the way. There's not a person in fucking Dublin or Ireland that doesn't know you know what I mean?
And it was by accident, actually, that I got into doing the phone show on FM 104 back in the day. We did that for 17 years. And I gave it up because I was just fed up working nights. I just had enough. And then we moved to 98 FM and we did a daytime show at 98. Got 7 years out of it. And like I said, they made us redundant this year, unfortunately. But it's one of those things.
Just take us back to the start a little bit before we get into the radio and things like that. So what was life actually like growing up?
In Ballybrack? Great.
Yeah,
great. Ballybrack was out in the sticks when I was a kid. It was a growing area. It's huge now. Ballybrack is monstrous now.
Whereabouts is Ballybrack? Exactly.
It's near Shankill.
Oh, yeah,
And
miles
Loughlin
away.
Sound.
Miles away. It is, though. That's miles away. That's deep into the south side.
It's nearly in Wicklow.
It basically is, yeah.
But no, we had a great childhood. My mum and dad, my mum is from Sallynoggin, my dad's from Dalkey, and the house that he grew up in was only sold last year after my gran died at 98 last year.
Some age,
And
sorry to hear
yeah, it
that.
was some age. Yeah, she was brilliant. She was an amazing woman. Fit as a fiddle until her dying day. And I had a heart attack, boom, gone. And that's the way to go. She was... but anyway, so I had a great childhood. I was an altar boy for years and loved it. When I was a kid, when I was 8 or 9, I wanted to be a priest. Seriously.
I don't mean to laugh, but that's hilarious.
It's a random one.
As a kid, I wanted to be a priest.
Like, to me, right, the two things you aspire to be are the two strangest things in the world. Like, a priest and a radio presenter. To me, that's another word. I think that's hilarious.
I was the head altar boy in Ballybrack Church, and we had great fun for years. And one of the best things about being an altar boy back then was you'd get a week of serving 10 o'clock mass, so you'd get out of school for 2.5 hours to go off down to the church, serve mass, and come back to school again. And I used to do the roster for the altar boys who were serving which mass and all that. And for some reason, I wanted to be a priest. Until I got a girlfriend and I realised you couldn't have a girlfriend if you can't have both. So that was the end of that. I never became... but no, I remember my first girlfriend when I was 8 or 9. And I remember her dad saying, "Is Louise your girlfriend now?" And, "Oh, no, I'm going to be a priest." And he still remembers that to this day, me saying that I was going to be a priest. So, but no, it never happened. I'm glad I didn't pursue it.
Yeah. So what was going
Mind
on?
you used to have a roof over your head for the rest of your days.
You saw it, yeah. Never short a few quid.
You got a car.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
question.
Got a halo over the head as well.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Anyway, so I didn't become a priest.
Yeah.
I found women and went off and got married and whatever.
So do you know when you were in like school and all, were you any good in school? Like, I mean, academic wise, were you
No,
any
I hated secondary school. I loved primary school. I hated secondary school because I was very badly bullied in secondary school and I couldn't wait to get out of school. So even though I would have had enough points to go to college and stuff, I just couldn't wait to get out of it. Hated school.
Did you finish?
I did. I did my Leaving Cert. Did all right in the Leaving Cert, but the thoughts of continuing in education, I just thought, no, I want out of
What
this.
were you bullied for?
Fuck knows. Why is anybody bullied? I was just picked on constantly. Had school bags fucked in rivers, and it
By
was
a bunch of people.
yeah,
Bullies.
yeah. And it's what radio did for me was, so I was 16. I'm in school and I'm being bullied, and then I got involved in the radio station out in Bray, and they were all great. So I found
escape, like,
it was. That's exactly what it was. And I just got a new bunch of friends, and all decent people that I'm still friends with to this day. So yeah, radio kind of saved me from myself. It was an escape. And when I started, I was a DJ. I was doing the Saturday afternoon Top 30 show, and talk radio then kind of happened by complete accident. I was working out in what's now East Coast Radio out in Bray, and they needed to do a talk show, and they asked me would I be interested in trying it. I'd never done any talk before, so I did that for a couple of years, and then 104 came calling and offered me the phone show, and the rest is history.
And like that, I was talking to someone about this today. Like that was huge. Like that was before the internet or anything like that. And I was literally every night tuned in. Phone show, let's go. That was it, and that was all anyone talked about. Especially, well,
It was the talking bollocks of the 90s. That's the best way to describe it.
We'll put it out there. You said it, not us. You know what I mean?
But
Get that quote.
that's
Get
what
that
it was.
blown up. Somebody put that in quotes. Will you, please?
Because the phone show grew into... It was mad. Like, we got away with murder.
Literally, it was madness. The
Yeah, we
stuff
got
that
away
was
with
done,
murder.
and it was just people going on and running amok about everything. And then the next night was something completely different. It was never like, oh, you were on this on Monday talking about that. It was just like, right now, Monday's gone. It's Tuesday now. This is what we're talking about. And then people just run amok. How long did it go on for? How many hours?
From 9 on... Well, it changed over the years, but when we finished up, it was 9 to 1. So 4 hours. But like I said, it was... Nighttime radio is gone now. When we left FM 104, we would have had 52,000 listeners or whatever every night. FM 104 at nighttime now has 8,000, 9,000, something like that. So nighttime radio has died. So I think we left at the right time.
Yeah.
because one of the biggest things for us was the younger audience. So when you were younger, that audience is very important to us. That audience aren't listening to radio anymore. It's as simple as that. So without that young audience, nighttime radio was always going to die, and it has died a horrible death because teenagers just don't listen to the radio anymore.
And what was it like? So say you come in tonight, you're in the radio at 9 o'clock, Monday. Do you have like a brief, this is what you're going to talk about, this only happened yesterday, talk about this?
Yeah. So some of the stuff we do is, relationship stuff, which you can do any night of the week, but then, other stuff is very topical, is happening today. And that's still what we're doing with our new podcast. It's like a radio show, except it's not on the radio.
Yeah.
And people, if you listen to it, it sounds like it was on the radio, but it wasn't. But yes, we deal with whatever's topical today, and then throw in relationship stuff or stupid stuff, the most random, like some of the stuff we're after been talking about here.
Yeah.
The more random shit, the better. And it's amazing. For example, today on our podcast, we ended up having a row about whether or not Yorkshire puddings have any place on a Christmas dinner plate.
Did you?
I've
No,
never
they
had a
certainly
Yorkshire
don't.
pudding in my life.
You never had a Yorkshire pudding? I reckon you
Never.
have and you didn't know what they were. Do you know what they are?
No.
I reckon
That's
you've
what I
had them and you
They're
didn't
like
know.
a pastry thing.
Do you know them yet? They're like a bleeding. They're like a cup that you put your gravy into. That's what best way to
But
describe
no
them.
place on a Christmas dinner plate.
No.
No.
Ah, well,
Now,
you have
where
them at the
where
Christmas
Jeremy
dinner.
was arguing.
Do you know what? I don't. I probably do. I don't know off the top of my head, but I wouldn't say get that on my plate if it was on it. I'd say I do. A Christmas dinner is just a Sunday roast, but bigger. With turkey.
Yeah, but Yorkshire puddings are meant to be served with beef, not with
know.
turkey and ham.
See, we're not as cultured as you.
No.
This is the south side coming out, you know. A Christmas dinner, it could be bleeding ham, you get your stuffing, you get your turkey,
Yeah.
and potatoes and fucking...
Sprouts?
I don't like sprouts, yeah.
Love
Mushy peas?
Sprouts.
No, not into that now.
Mushy peas, yeah.
Yeah.
good
Carrots,
man.
gravy. I don't know what else. Bleeding, they just take away your given kind of thing, you know what I mean? But I wouldn't go as
Yorkshire
far as say,
puddings.
get that off and get that off. No.
But anyway, the point I'm making is the more random shit people remember you for, the more random the stuff. We could talk about the biggest news story today and then end up having a row about Yorkshire puddings on Christmas
What
dinner.
happens to us?
Definitely.
And it's what people talk about.
Definitely. Like, our zingers is like, we've had huge guests on this show. We've talked about real serious things. But it's like the thing that people lure into the most is the zingers.
Yeah.
Like, that'd be our most... Engagement.
Very
Yeah, our
engagement.
most engagement through social media would be about the zingers.
You just reminded me. Do you piss in the shower?
My wife thinks I do. I do.
Thinks you do.
What do you mean thinks?
How have you had
Because
this conversation?
What, you got out of the shower and it smells like chickadee?
No.
Chickadee
She's
smells like
convinced.
piss.
Bacon fries.
She's convinced that I do because whatever way there's this kind of pink mold in the shower, and
If
she
you're
says
pissing pink, you want to get that chicken.
she says it's from me pissing, and that's exactly what I say to her. If I was pissing pink, but I don't know what sort of it's some sort of a
But come here, are you pissing in the
mold.
shower on the slide?
I know, just tell the truth.
Tell
You're
the boys,
You're dragging the
Adrian.
life out of this one,
Are you
Adrian.
pissing?
Just say
in my
no
own
comments.
shower, not in other people's showers now.
What are you doing in other people's
I
showers?
wouldn't, in a hotel or anything, I wouldn't.
That's where you should be pissing.
Yeah,
If I had
No, no.
Are you mad?
Maybe in my own shower, but not in somebody
So you
else's
are
shower.
pissing in the shower?
I have done.
Just say yeah.
Love that, Adrian.
It's a simple yeah or no
Love
question,
that.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll have a bit of that. Anyways, back to the
Sorry,
main
it's a constant argument with my missus because she's convinced I just hop into the shower and piss all over the place.
I reckon she's pissing in the shower,
Yeah,
so
I-
that's you to blame.
yeah,
100%.
Because you wouldn't expect it from her. And then she's like, do you know what? I pin this on him.
Yeah, I'm onto
Reverse
something here.
psychology,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Do you know what I mean?
She's
But,
on the ball there.
How do you prove that though?
You don't. You just,
you
yeah.
can't, isn't it? It's all going down the one drain.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so back to what we were saying there. So you were saying about... that's what your podcast is about and all the stupid stuff, and that's the things you're remembered for. But Jesus Christ, is a controversial as well.
Yeah.
We try to be.
100%.
So this is what I was saying today, right, Adrian? That was obviously something done deliberately. That was a business tactic. It was like clickbait before the internet.
The phone show.
Yeah, but the topics and how you would address it. It was like clickbait before the internet, so people would be jamming your phone line, your phone's engaged constantly, you couldn't get through. There's too many people trying to get through at the one time. So
That's
that was
exactly what it was.
Yeah, so it was done deliberately, yeah.
That's exactly what we did.
Love that.
At least, yeah.
Don't knock the hustle,
No,
innit?
100%. Don't knock the Nipsey.
We became masters at knowing how to poke people,
Yeah,
just fucking prod people
yeah.
and annoy them. I'm still able to do it.
Come here, tell me this, right? Because I sussed this before, and I remember saying, I think I said it to me, Mark, because we were listening in the car one night. So let's say the topic was, I don't know, fucking like that what you said about bleeding. Who
Yorkshire
gets a
puddings?
child? Who gets a child on Christmas
Oh, Christmas,
Day?
yeah.
You do that, and then you'd have a caller on, and the first caller would always say something very, very, very controversial, but then you'd never hear that caller again. Was that always an inside job?
No. I tell you what we had. We had a list of regulars, let's call them. So these are people that we could ring, not to tell them what to say. They were opinionated fuckers, basically. I remember one guy from Finglas, John is his name. And John was the biggest mouth. He would mouth on about antisocial behaviour. One night, live on air, and this is to prove that these people weren't paid actors or whatever.
Yeah.
One night, live on air, he's given out about antisocial behaviour in Finglas, and a fucking brick coming through his window, live
While
on
he was
air,
on the phone?
while he was on the phone to us, yeah. I called into his house on my way home that night because I was so worried about him. He literally had his window put in. He had
So
to
you
move
knew this
house.
fella personally?
No, I didn't. No, but I asked him where he lived, and I popped in on my way home.
And
just-
come out,
played
was
it,
that
but-
because he was on your phone show all
Yeah,
the time? So
yeah, yeah.
sick of him then,
Yeah.
put the window in.
Why
and
did he give his real name and all though? Like, 'cause I know people used to ring up Bogey and all
Yeah.
the whole lot. And so you were saying earlier on, Barry Keoghan talked about it on Living with Lucy or something. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
About
he used to do wind-up calls on our show.
I know a load of people that did.
I do myself. I've met people since, but we never paid people to go on. We never told people what to say. What we did have was a regulars list that
You could rely on.
well, I could turn to such and such a caller who we know is very opinionated on
Certain topics,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, but people used to regularly ask us. You're paying people to go on. We never did.
No, but it was clickbait. That's the kind
exactly
of thing.
what it was.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
no, because I had a feeling because I'd be like, there's no way they really think that way. They know what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So as you said, don't knock the nipsey, isn't it?
yeah, when you're doing it like that, you're not really harming anyone, are you? Like,
That's
But
what I'm saying.
we would never have somebody on air with an opinion that didn't exist, if you know what I mean. That it was very important that the opinions that we heard on the show were believable.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That
So we
you
would
could follow
never
up on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons we came up with the name for our podcast, Opinions Matter, is that everybody has opinions are like arseholes. Everyone has one. And
some stink.
yeah, and when you hear somebody on the radio with an outrageous opinion, you think that can't be real. But these people exist with the most random opinions
yeah,
on.
but like I was going to say there, it's like, nobody's life is really on the line, you know? Like, when you're doing something like that, come here, it's controversial, and sometimes I used to feel like certain areas are getting a hard time because you go on and you talk about a certain thing that happened in that area, and that's then portrayed out there to, as you said, 52,000 listeners a night, you know what I mean? Which I didn't really like, but whatever, no one's life is on the line. It's different if people out here getting killed over it and stuff like that. So I'm like, don't knock the horse and run with it. But what you did used to do, we mentioned it already, would be like, if he's had a caller from Finglas,
Yeah.
and then another caller then from Ballymun, you'd say, well, this fella from Finglas said this about Ballymun.
Very
and
good at turning
that's
people
fine.
against each other, and you just kind of step back.
Oh, that's
You see the little
I
game.
used to love literally putting people up against each other and sitting back and just leaving
just
them,
watching it.
Yeah, just leaving them at it.
That must have been the best job in the world.
It was. I loved it for years. I don't know if I did myself any favours, though, doing it for that length of time. And what I mean by that is people didn't take it seriously. Right? We used to have awful trouble getting sponsors, for example, on the show because people said, no, that's a load of shite, that show is. So I don't know if I enjoyed it for all the years that we did it. It was great to do. I'm glad I gave it up when I gave it up because I think it would have given me up. I think the nighttime radio listenership was going to go down anyway.
Adrian? Twitter.
Yeah, probably.
Because you're on that phone show to give your opinion on something, whereas on Twitter I can give my opinion on it in 5 seconds, and then on the 10 seconds later I'm on to a new thing. Give me
So
opinion.
we gave it up in 2013, and I think we gave it up at exactly the right time because it's if we'd have stayed at it, I don't think the show would exist today anyway.
Yeah,
I think it would.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, let's say you were talking about, I don't know, bleeding. Anyone who takes drugs is a fucking scumbag, and they're part of the problem. And I'm ringing up to say, well, I fucking take drugs. I'm not a bad person. I can't get through. I want it. I keep trying. I'm trying. Whereas if you put that on Twitter, I just tweet, well, I'm not a scumbag bum, and then I move on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then Terrence can come in and say what he wanted to say.
That's where parts where I'd argue is wrong and harsh. Because I know of a situation where a young fella, only a young kid he was, is soft, very soft, jumped, very quiet he is, and he was out drinking with his mates one night, and I noticed something very, very quiet, and because he was out drinking and he had his bottles or whatever, the guy that ended up going over and nicking him to death, and they woolied him around, and someone recorded it and sent it into yours. And you was posting it on Facebook and all the thousands saying, look at this scumbag getting arrested by the police. And I'm like, harsh, very, very harsh, you know, because you never really got the full side of a story when you got video sent in. So, like, where if it's a topic of discussion, like something that happened in the fucking government or something, you can go out and say, look, we have the information. But when people are sending you videos, because you still do that this, where people send you in a video, but you don't have the full details of the video. And I'm like, but it's controversial. It sells, doesn't it?
clickbait.
Like, people are going to tune in and go, well, this, but then it's harsh, because then there's people in the area and all looking at it going, it's
not fair.
You know, I'd feel hard done by, you know. So that'd be the part where I'd be like,
You don't agree with it,
It's exactly what you. I won't even say it's clickbait. But we need to engage people.
Is it, what's that called? Fucking outrage media, whatever they
Everyone's
call it.
outraged nowadays.
But it's not what they call it. You do something controversial, they gather the attention, isn't it? What's it called? Outrage.
I know what you're talking
outrage
about,
promotion or something like that.
I mean, to be honest with you, one of the reasons that the sort of show that we used to do wouldn't work anymore is because of this cancel culture that we live in now.
So that's another thing I wanted to talk to you about, because I've seen a few clips recently. Remember the X Factor when it only started, and everyone used to say, Simon Cowell, I was a prick, but it was funny. But like, there's a girl singing, and he's like, I don't know what's worse, your dress sense or your singing. You look atrocious and you sound atrocious. And like, everyone's laughing, and then she walks off, and I was like, if you said that now, you wouldn't think he's a prick. You'd be thinking, is that girl okay after that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we live in a very different world.
We live
now.
in a different world
Yeah.
in that sense, but I get it, there's cancel culture as well, but I think we are more what's the word? Like, we're more aware of what's on the other side now, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
it's all
it's-
well and good. But
It's led to a debate has been, for example, when we were with 98 FM for the last number of years, the amount of times we were told, no, you can't do it that way, you can't have people shouting, people don't want to hear any anger, and for the type of radio that we used to do, you just couldn't do it today.
so do you think there's a fine line between being overprotective and just being insensitive?
Yeah, you see, I think everybody's entitled to an opinion, whether you agree with it or not. And when you hear, you know, some of the stuff that we had on 20 years ago, if you were to put it on radio today, the station would be bloody closed down.
Yeah.
And that's... I've always believed that people have a right to say whatever the fuck they want to say.
I'd agree to an extent until you're damaging. If you're starting to damage an area, a person, if a video getting sent in, if you're starting to damage that person's reputation in an area where everyone knows that was him and you was a poor train that he done this and that, but he wasn't, he was just nicked over something stupid, then it's like, right, that's damaging, I don't agree with that. But I do agree that there is a lot of like insensitivity. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Sensitivity.
Yeah, no,
Sensitivity.
Insensitivity.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, sensitivity. But there's not enough of that. Not enough insensitivity. Like, everyone's like, like you can't slag someone anymore. I have the buzz. Even with this podcast, sometimes we say something.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, well, I don't think you should have said that and that way. It's like, relax, mate. It's not the end of the world. We're only saying something.
Like, if I say Terence is a fucking idiot, doesn't mean that I don't like him anymore, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Some
do you
people
know
like,
what I
that was a
mean?
bit harsh, but like, what's it done?
So it's one of the things that I'm enjoying about doing podcasts now is there aren't any rules. Well, when I say there aren't any rules, you can't
There's less
lie.
rules.
There's less rules. Yeah, there's less rules. You know, I used to hate having to explain why we did a certain thing on the show. I don't have to explain to anybody now. I can just do what we want. And
I feel like it's like the old radio show
yeah,
now?
a little bit. Yeah, yeah.
Are you not worried about the consequences? Do you not worry about like what you're saying to people?
No.
No.
In what way? Like,
If you are damaging a reputation or a person.
Yeah, you're giving it a very strong one-sided opinion, kind of damaging, bringing down another side. You're not worried about the consequences.
I wouldn't generally focus on one single individual. I have slagged a fair few people over the last year or two.
I slagging people is
No, but I
fresh.
mean on a topic or a certain area or something like that. You know what I mean?
To say, we did a podcast a few weeks ago, just before Halloween, to say that Ballyfermot was a hellhole this year, and we had people on from Ballyfermot and all that. I wasn't saying it. They were. They lived there. They were running their own area
Well,
now.
you always know what you're doing by letting them come on and do that.
So be it.
Stored in the pot.
But this particular woman was terrified to go out walking with her dog because a banger's been thrown at her and all of that.
Adrian, bollocks that. I don't. come here, you shouldn't be throwing bangers at women if that's what the case is, but it never is. Come here, they've been around for bleeding 1,000 years. People in every area are going to have fireworks, going to have bangers at, but you're always going to have that one cunt saying, I'm afraid to leave the gaff, whatever, whatever. Fuck off, will you? I don't agree with that. There's always going to be one or two cunts in an area that's like that. But I believe majority of people
she was it. She was it.
Yeah.
She was brilliant.
It's brilliant. You love it, don't you? No, see, I don't. That's poxy, that, you know. But that's what I mean by damaging an area. Because you have someone going on that, all you as listeners are listening to that, and everyone's
everyone's going to think
but again,
Ballyfermum to Kip.
So that's what I mean. But
I didn't say it.
I know that.
But you didn't. Did you?
didn't say that. It's not
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you talk her down and say, well, it's not that bad? You
I
have
don't
this,
live there,
that?
so how could I possibly have an opinion on
Did you
it?
question it?
Of course I did, yeah.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Did you though?
No, I
Adrian,
did.
tell the
Obviously,
truth.
it'd be a boring conversation if I didn't. But this woman was nearly in tears.
Don't believe it.
Was she even from
So
Ballyfermum?
why would she make it up?
I
She doesn't
believe
like
that there's
Balliol.
bangers. I believe that there's fireworks, and I believe there's jumpers hanging around. It's Halloween, love. Come on, how old are you? You've been around 1,000 years. You see these people. How old was the woman? 30s, 40s?
50s.
50s. She's seen it. She's seen it. Is she new to
Doesn't mean she
Ballyfermum?
has to like it.
Of course, she doesn't have to like it, but it
Should
can't
be used to
that,
it, yeah.
can't be that big of an issue. It happens every single year for her whole life in all these areas.
Well, maybe she just had enough.
He's getting this out of you now, what you wanted out of the
Oh,
people.
yeah. Lovely,
Come
that
here.
fucking...
Tell us this, Adrian. Have you got any memorable phone calls? Like, you surely had some characters down the years, yeah? What's, like, ones that stick out in your mind, do you know what I mean? If we were back in the gaff now, you're at having a few eardingers on you, what stories are you going to tell us here?
We did all sorts of stuff, crime stuff. I was assaulted in a pub one night by the sister of one of the most notorious criminals in Dublin.
Define assaulted.
So she grabbed me by the throat and tried to pull me over a mixing desk and reef me out of it. She had a full fucking grip on my neck, and only one of the bouncers over the corner saw her. She would have dug into my neck. So, but it's got so over the years we've dealt with everything and anything, and it's strange. It's not that serious stuff that ever sticks in my mind, because that was constant. We were constantly doing stuff on crime and doing stuff on areas and whatever. It's the stupider stuff that stays in my mind from all the years. We, like I said, the show when it was back at the start of the 2000s, it would have been it was the biggest radio show in Ireland at night time, even though it was only on a Dublin radio station.
Yeah, easily.
And like I said, what made it popular was that you didn't know what was going to happen on it.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about it. We didn't. So yeah, we might have an idea of what we're going to talk about, but because it's a phone-in show, you don't know what calls you're going to get. You don't know what they're going to say, and that's what I loved about doing that type of radio. And again, I mean, there still is phone-in talk shows on radio, but nothing like what we did then. My favourite memory of a show that we did our show in Ibiza one year. And this is slaughter.
Boys on tour.
Yeah, we did it 2 years in a row in Ibiza. The first year we did
Good, you had to go back.
right? The first year we did it in an Irish bar, right?
Yeah.
So we did it in an Irish bar, and we did it live, right? So picture this: we're in Ibiza in a tiny little Irish bar with a studio set up with a whole live audience, all locked out of their heads. But the funniest part of the story is the night before the show, the crew were all out on the piss, and we were out till 6 o'clock in the morning.
do, when in Rome.
Yeah. Anyway, we were heading back to the hotel, all locked, and we decided we'd nothing better to do than to get into the fountain. You know, the fountain beside the egg there
Yeah.
in San Antonio. Took off the shoes and socks and started fucking dancing around in the fountain. Two girls came along. Didn't know who they were from Adam, both Irish girls. They start dancing in the fountain and we're all splashing around. The next thing, a paddy wagon arrives, fucks us in the back of the paddy wagon. We're all
It's a
arrested.
Mariah.
Oh,
It's called a Mariah.
paddy wagon.
Yeah.
Paddy wagon, yeah.
No, they're called Mariahs.
That's a Mariah van. Jesus Christ, that give me an awful fright. Then really having a stroke. A paddy wagon.
Yeah, it's a Mariah.
Fuck
So
me, man.
we were, myself and the two girls were arrested, brought to the police station. During the conversation, we hadn't a word of Spanish. So this lunatic copper is screaming.
What was
the
Nick
odds.
for jumping in the fountain?
Yeah.
The Bollox,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
Basically. Anyway, so that was grand. The two girls are bawling their eyes out. I find out the two girls are actually going to our show the following night. They find out that, this is Adrian Kennedy that we're after being arrested with.
This is what I said. People know what you sound like, not what you look like.
Anyway, ended up paying a fine to get out of the police station with the two girls and whatever, right? The next night, during a live radio show in front of 200 people locked out of their heads, somebody from the audience shouts up, "All right, Ado, tell us about getting arrested last night. What happened?" My bosses are listening. My wife is at home listening. None of them had a clue what had happened.
You didn't tell anyone?
Oh, it was slaughter.
And did you have to address that?
I had to just move on.
So
Did you not say what happened?
You didn't say you got licked, no?
But the show was so difficult to control because, like I said, it was live with two. So it was on at 10 o'clock at night here, but that's 11 o'clock over there. So from 11 until 2 in the morning with 200 people all pissed out of their heads. It was the biggest nightmare ever. The following year, we learned from the mistake and we recorded it at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and put it out at 10 o'clock that night. So things like that, that was great fun. But now getting arrested and being told, having it announced live on air.
Good memory.
Yeah, it was, yeah. So like I said, 17 years of doing a show like that, it all kind of blurs into one memory, if you like. But I'm very proud of what we achieved while we were doing it, but it was of its time. And I think, like I said earlier on, I think we packed it in at exactly the right time. The amount of people even now, when we left 98, saying, "Oh, go back to nighttime radio. Go on, go back to doing a nighttime show." Won't work anymore.
That's right.
I
okay.
heard this.
Sorry, go on. No, go ahead.
I heard a story. Now, this could be completely lies about a fella I think rang up one time who was about to commit suicide.
That's right.
Is that a true story?
That's a true
Fill us
story.
in about that because I just got a brief.
I was actually on holidays, believe it or not, and Jeremy was doing the show, and they were having a conversation about whatever. And during the conversation, this caller rang in, and he said he wanted to give his opinion. He's put on air. Jeremy's talking to him, and out of nowhere, he says, "By the way, I'm standing on the pedestrian bridge in Loughlinstown about to jump." This is live on air. And he was.
What did he ring up to initially talk about?
He was he anything just to get him on air. He didn't tell us. He didn't tell the staff, "I'm standing on the bridge." He got on. We'd have never put him on. Do you know what I mean? You couldn't.
You said I'm gonna. If he said what he was gonna do,
So he didn't tell us what he was going to do, and then announced it live on air. Next thing, there's ambulances. The guards are there, and the difficulty that Jeremy had that night, and I don't envy him, was if he cut your man off,
and something
he'd
happened.
have just jumped.
Yeah.
By not cutting him off, he was
Enticing him kind of thing.
so he was in a really difficult position. The guards were on the phone. We subsequent to that, we had a meeting with the Garda Commissioner over that because they thought we put him on the air deliberately, which we certainly didn't. Not in a month of Sundays. But it was about how to deal with something like that. And now, I don't know that that's ever happened on any other radio show before or after. I spent a whole day on my holidays the next day on the phone with guards, with psychiatrists, all wondering whether we dealt with it right. In fairness to Jeremy, he dealt with it as best he could. He didn't know what to fucking
You
do.
wouldn't have been trained in that. Like
No,
that. Like if
never.
You was not given any
We
training.
were
If someone-
subsequently, after that.
Yeah, but I mean in the build
But
up
before
to
that, no, you'd never think in a month of Sunday somebody would be on there trying to commit suicide. Ironically, that same individual died last year, and not by suicide, but he was in his 40s at this stage. But so that's a true story. It did.
It's like ironic.
How's that ironic?
That's the right word.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that something like that shouldn't have happened. But it's one of the thrills of live radio. That's what that you just never know what's going to happen. You never know what the next caller is going to say, and that's what I always loved about it. The most important piece of machinery that we had in that studio was a 10-second delay.
We've heard about this one.
And that got
we were
used very
told.
regularly.
Remember, Terence? Me and Terence have done a bit of live radio ourselves, and we were like, "So what can and can't say?" And they were like, "Oh well, it's all right if you do it once. We can press this button." And I was like, "Well, what if you do it again?" They were like, "No." So.
Pit you off the ball, didn't fucking have it that time, remember?
Well, they're on YouTube. They're all right. We done Brendan O'Connor, remember?
Please. Not the better of it.
Yeah, it's so with a 10-second delay. When we started in '98, they didn't have one, and we didn't have it for a couple of weeks. And I'm nervous wreck without having that 10-second delay. So it's like an overcoat to protect you. And the amount of, put it this way. If we didn't have it, FM 104 would have been off the air because they would have been sued so many times by different people. But bang the button and it never happened. It's a great bit of kit. So
that's why we've Owen Brennan. Owen Brennan's keeping us alive. We would have been cancelled. What, episode 49? Episode 29 we would have been cancelled without Owen.
Yeah, that's a fact. Owen is a legend. But thank God this isn't live. Oh,
yeah, I don't know. Well, I said to you earlier on, what you lads are doing is the phone show of the 2020s. In that you're
not as controversial. Not controversial at all. If I'm,
we're trying, yeah, and we don't try to be. Like, we could be, and I'm seeing people do podcasts that try to be controversial, and
just for the sake of it.
Yeah, and it's not what a podcast is. That's, if you want to do that, go on a phone show. Do you know what I mean? This is not that. A podcast should be authentic. Like, if you're a Liverpool fan, set up a Liverpool podcast and be authentic about it. But if you just want to be like controversial about it, then do a phone show or set up a general football podcast. But do you know what I mean? Die on that hill. That's what we are. Like, we try our best to come across as authentic as possible. And one of the biggest compliments we get is when people bump into us together. They're like, it's like being on a live podcast with us. And I love that because we try and bring the same energy. You know what I mean? Straight in on the street, in here, boom. There's a mic, and off we go.
Nothing wrong down there. You know what I mean?
I mean, just go off the bat.
That's the buzz of it. You know what I mean? But I don't even believe in. So I see, like, don't even believe in getting a guest on to butcher them either. I think that's harsh. Now, come here, guests on we don't agree with certain things, but getting someone in and butchering them, like, you can butcher anybody. Like, what?
That's what Twitter's for.
That's it, literally, leave that to Twitter, you know what I mean? So
it's an open forum discussion, you know what I mean?
I wouldn't say we'd be like a phone show for that reason, but...
Because, see, with the phone show, what I want to call out there was, I feel like there was parts, and even still today, when you hear certain phone shows, the presenter's talking and he'd be having a back and forth with whoever's on the phone, back and forth, and the fella on the phone be getting the better of him, and then the presenter go on a big mad rant, and then be like, "Oh, are you there?" No, of course he fucking hung up. You cut him off. You cut him off.
Did you cut people off doing that?
Yeah, regularly, yeah.
And do you know what I mean? So that's
You're
not
an open book, you.
Not because they were winning an argument, because they were talking bollocks, basically.
Look, it's convenient that they were winning the argument, and sometimes they wouldn't be, that they hung up or their credit went or whatever. You know what I mean? That's back in the day when you needed credit.
Yeah.
No, I would only ever cut people off for talking bollocks. Literally, you know, for not making sense or not having a decent argument.
It's funny how life goes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Asian full circle. Hey, you are talking bollocks.
Talking bollocks, yeah.
It's nuts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
Do you know what? The thing I look forward to most, and I'm not leaving here without it, is like, give us some mad stories. I was like, he's gonna fill us full of mad stories for this phone show.
What do you want?
Getting nicked in Ibiza, like I know 10 people that got nicked in Ibiza. Do you know what I mean? That's nothing.
Give us like, don't know, mad phone calls. No, there has to be a few that sticks out and you're like, fuck.
We used to regularly get calls from prison, for example, from Mountjoy.
Yes, this is exciting. In the money, the boys, loads of them are on the podcast.
Yeah, we used to regularly get calls from prison until...
Shout out to the boys in the landing.
Absolutely.
On B-Wing.
And even that even became normal. That, you know, you listen to that show at night, you might hear some of the lads on from prison. But Jeremy got bricked out of it in Ballyfermot actually one night doing a live
Shout
report.
Out to Ballio.
Shout out to Ballio again. I don't have a thing about Ballyfermot, but so people have a perception that the show was madder than it was.
No, it was mad.
I was. I don't. Maybe from the outside.
Yeah.
From the outside, it probably was. On the inside, you were probably, this is grand.
Yeah.
Home.
Like, you was literally like, just let them in, murder, and just sit back and
This
be
is
like,
before Facebook and
Yeah,
Twitter.
no,
That's what I'm saying.
and that's why it worked at that time. But people have a perception that it was more insane than it actually was. That we had, we did over the years have some of the biggest crime figures on without even realising that. Sometimes because of the nature of live radio, but there's nothing mad to tell.
So what would the boys on the landing be ringing us to talk about?
Well, whatever.
But they say, I'm in the joy now.
Sometimes on air, and there was one night we had a guy, I can't remember who he was on from his cell, and you hear the fucking screws coming in and taking his phone off him, and that all happened on live radio. But that's the difference between a podcast and live radio is live radio. You're on the edge of your seat the whole time. You don't know what the fuck is going to happen. Am I going to have to use this 10-second delay? I miss that. I have to say, I miss that.
The thrill of it.
Yeah. But it wouldn't exist today if we're still around. So I don't have many mad stories
Because you didn't see them as mad.
Yeah, that's
Because it
exactly
was
the
so
point.
frequent.
That's exactly the
Isn't it?
point. Where other people would say, "Oh yeah, no, I listened to you, and oh, that was mad." Was it really?
You
mad?
can't even remember it, really.
No,
yeah.
no.
It's mad. That's sort of similar to what we were talking about with like the podcast, where it's like you do a podcast, great, brilliant,
Who we got on
exciting.
next week?
Who's next? It's nearly just boom, rolls over.
Yeah.
But we take it all in. Though we have the mad ones and the good ones and all that. you know what I mean?
Like we have serious stories that like we only discuss ourselves, and then like the odd time we'd be sitting down like, remember that happened, and we'd have a laugh and a joke about it, but you wouldn't be saying it on the podcast. You know what I mean? We've stories to be telling already, and 49 episodes in.
I seen a headline recently. Your name is on the list for protesting or something. Talk to us about it.
No, my name is on a list from our anti-vax friends for having, to bring it to their home protests where they're having protests outside.
Yeah, outside Leo's gaff and all. Down
Leo's
the
gaff, the CMO's gaff, Pat Kenny's gaff, and my name is on that
The
list
Pat
as well.
Kenny got it as well?
Yeah.
For
yeah.
what?
They're outside his house.
Why,
Because they don't like what he says.
Because he's a vaxxer?
No,
Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, but he has the Pat Kenny show. He's probably
So
Why
they had a
he's pushed,
protest
yeah.
outside his house, but I've had a few run-ins with a few of them over the last year, and my name is on the list as well. But
he
they
find you,
haven't
Gav?
they haven't arrived. They didn't have our exact right address, so. But the guards notified us that we were on.
Why is
this
that?
list. I couldn't give a fuck if they want to come outside our house to be standing
Yes!
be standing outside on the main
Adrian,
road.
we're a golf club.
There was only
whipping
five.
people
There was a
around.
protest outside this building last week. 5 people.
Yeah.
5 fucking people
Don't
on a
be
Sunday
enticing
afternoon.
people, you will you know about 40?
We won't have a studio left back into the bleeding kitchen after this one.
But
It must scare you a little bit.
no, not really. No,
Is that what the people showing about outside your gaff?
5 people.
It doesn't matter,
But what
mate. If
happens
one
in more
person
than
shows
12?
up at your gaff,
No, because they'd be standing outside in the main road.
doesn't matter, mate. Someone knows where you live, you know what I mean? I was even hesitant at the start there saying Dublin 9 about my address, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What are you afraid of?
Just so you don't want people knowing. You'd be surprised, Adrian, especially like you more than me, and I'm hesitant about that. Like people know, like I've had conversations with people, and do you know what happened to me before? I bumped into a group of people, and half of them listened to the podcast, and half of them didn't. And I thought it was a bit cringy, like, because I don't want to look like think I'm someone, you know, like that. So I was explaining to them, oh yeah, I do a podcast, blah blah blah. And they were like, oh, tell us, like, what do you do? So I was like, oh, well, me and me mate, and they were like, Terence, and I was like, yeah. And then they were like, we do it, and we just started one day in your man's kitchen, and I was like, yeah. And I was like, everything I'm saying, this person's finishing the fucking sentence for me, and I was like, this is a bit fucking weird, isn't it? Because they know so much about me, and that was a bit creepy, you know, like that. So I don't know. Like, if they start showing up at me gaff and all, you're like,
Yeah, no, I don't particularly want them outside my gaff, but
saying that
I'm
you
not
don't give a
afraid
bollocks.
of. I'm not afraid of them.
it doesn't matter.
I'm not
That's
afraid
our
of them.
family.
I think that's easy to say. Do you know what? When I hear people saying that type of thing, you probably just haven't had enough encounters in your life to realise that you should be.
There's danger there.
Like,
yeah.
not that you should be, but that you don't want that. You know what I mean? Like, because, like, I don't really want to sound like a prick, but, like, where we're from, like, where if somebody says to you, like, they're going to show up their gap or they're going to do something, like, they probably will. And you probably will become involved in an encounter and you're like, I actually don't want that again. And I just don't think you've had enough of them encounters in your life to realise, shit,
And it
they
can
won't
get out
want
of
that.
hand quick because there's family involved then, do you know what I mean? Like, it's all well and
Yeah.
good saying, yeah, show up at me gaff, then a brick goes through your window and your kids are there. How do you
But
explain that? You know what I
this
mean?
particular group that have been protesting, there's been no violence at all at any of their protests. They haven't broken a window. They haven't done anything. I think they're wrong to be protesting outside people's
do I.
houses.
I
I
agree
think
with
it's
you.
bang out of order.
It is.
Yeah.
And
Out of order.
because I said that on News Talk a couple of weeks ago, they're on a mad one with me now. Because I said on News Talk 2 weeks ago that it is just bang out of order to be outside people's houses. If you want to
100%.
protest against
It is.
Leo, stand outside his office in town.
Yeah.
I agree with that, yeah.
Definitely.
Because that's where the business is conducted. you
There's
know what
no
I mean?
need to be outside people's, and the chief medical officer outside his fucking house. What's that all about? Like, so I called that out 2 weeks ago on News Talk, and then they just went on a mad one, putting up videos. You Adrian Kennedy, they're nut jobs. They're nut jobs, and I'm not afraid of them. So I don't necessarily want them outside my gaff. But when I see the pathetic protest was outside this building last week, 5 fucking people with a loudhailer. Like, seriously, get a grip of yourself and do something else on a Sunday afternoon. But
On
anyway,
a Sunday when there's no one even in.
Yeah, exactly. There was nobody in Leo's house.
Sinner in
The day they were protesting outside Leo's house, he wasn't even home. He wasn't even in the country. Anyway, so I've had a lot of run-ins with the anti-vax groups in the last year or two, and they don't like being called out. So I'm not afraid of them. They don't scare me.
All right. Well, there you are. Yeah, the thing I wanted to mention was, right, with the phone-in shows, do you think that they're just dying out and it's just basically, it's Twitter for old people?
It's a great way to describe it, yeah.
Brilliant way to
Joe
describe
Duffy,
it.
Joe Duffy, in the height of lockdown, I got a message off a fella I work with, and he says, put the Joe Duffy show on. And I was like, what? But it was like 2 or 3 in the day. I was like, fuck it. So I was walking, I stuck her on, and remember that thing with Paul Mescal in it? What was it called? Normal People or
Yep,
something?
yep.
Remember that? That was big during the lockdown. So I knocked on, they were talking about that, and they were like, yeah, and they're just 2 ordinary people, and they're lying in bed having sex, and they're just normalising it like it's a disgrace, it shouldn't be on the telly. And I was like, are you winding me up? They're normalising sex. 2 people having normal sex in bed, and it can't be on the telly after 9 o'clock. And people are complaining about this. I was like, this is Twitter for people that don't know how to use Twitter.
It's gas, though. Those people exist, though.
But conveniently, where do they live? In the back arse and nowhere, and they don't realise that there's ways of venting your opinion. And I'm not saying that everyone should go on Twitter to vent their opinion, but that's really what it's for, isn't it? Like, if you have an opinion, you
But
put it on
it's
Twitter.
dangerous as well, that
But
Twitter.
like, see that, yeah. But see, like, I'm gonna ring Joe Duffy and complain. Like, what the? And what? Like,
400,000 people listen to him every day. So he's doing something right.
what's the demographic there? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it would be older. It would be an older audience. But, yeah, no, I believe that type of... You know, you'll always have a show like Joe Duffy's show, but I think phone-in radio is, and this goes back to what I was saying earlier on, without the young audience listening to it, it's not going to happen anymore. And the young audience are listening to Talking Bollox on a podcast. And they're not listening to radio anymore. So without that young audience, that sort of show is going to die. Radio is dying, slowly but surely.
Don't really want to jump straight into it like that, but so you obviously let go from radio during the lockdown. What happened there?
Just made redundant.
No reason.
There were reasons.
He's like,
Well, no,
Spill the beans.
No, ultimately it came down to it was in this building. In fact, I was told I was losing my job in the office up there.
Convenient where we signed the deal.
Adrian out the boys in.
Money was basically the problem. Cutbacks, and I knew last year during the lockdown when I was doing the show, talk radio costs more than having a DJ just playing songs. And I knew last year when I was playing an ad break with one fucking ad in it during the lockdowns, everybody pulled their advertising, and I knew this isn't good. The money's not going to come. You know, they have to get money somewhere. I wasn't expecting to be let go, but
You weren't shocked.
I wasn't shocked. Yeah. I was shocked.
Yeah, but you seen this train coming down the tracks.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and I miss having a full-time job. I miss the routine of having a full-time job, but I'm getting used to it now. I had a lie-in this morning, which was the first time I've had a lie-in in months. So on a Monday, but
And you wear the suit every day. Is that your casual attire? I see your work clothes. Or what's the story?
what?
He's looking sharp.
He is. He looks a tin of fruit on him and all. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, sometimes I just like to make an effort.
Yeah.
Other days now I'm dressed like a slob. My wife gives out yards to me when I walk out the door dressed like a slob.
What's a slob for you? You probably just don't have a jacket on. You just wear a normal short instead, is it?
So being let go, being made redundant was a shock. I have to say, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't. But it all comes down to money. That talk radio does cost more money. So for the 2 hours that we were doing, they just put a DJ on, which wasn't costing them any extra money, and they're saving all that money on us. So, but ironically, I'm back working in this same building again. I'm here with you lads. I'm working.
Goes full circle.
I'm doing stuff with News Talk on the 3rd floor. So
It's a very serious floor, isn't it?
Yeah,
It is.
Don't like
we're
that
not
floor.
allowed to learn that floor.
it's a very serious floor.
To
Yeah.
home, Brennan just be like, keep them lads as far
It's a
away.
different
that
world.
We go straight to the 5th, not realising like they all connect anyways, but they still make us go straight to the 5th.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I made a conscious decision about was not to fall out with anybody. Okay, we're being let go, we're being made redundant. I could have thrown my toys out of the pram and fucked the lot of yous and stormed out the door. But the radio business is too small to be making enemies.
If I'm being honest, you sound a bit snipey though towards radio though, in general. So you're like, radio is dying, talk shows are dying, and I feel like that's sort of coming from a place of hurt. That's why I asked you
I
that.
was very hurt to be made redundant. I'd be lying if I said otherwise. I think that radio's becoming cheap, and there's no soul to it at all.
Now, is this radio without Adrian and Jeremy or radio in general?
Radio in general, yeah. And part of the problem that radio has now is young people aren't listening to it. And
Do you know what I heard on the radio? Someone sent in a request. I was like, what are you sending a request for? If you want to hear a song, put it on Spotify.
Well, someone sent in a request for the radio.
you know what I mean?
That's still happening, is it?
That's still happening.
yeah, yeah. So things like that. So you know, for when I was younger, the only way you could get to hear a song was to ask them to play it on the radio because whatever. But without young people being recruited into radio now. My daughter is 24. She never listens to radio, even though our lad has worked in radio all his life, all her life. She never listens to the radio. And one example I used to give in '98 was at the end of our show, we'd say, coming up in the next hour, we've great music like these, and you play a little clip of 3 songs that are coming up in the next hour. But you'd wait 45 minutes to hear the fucking thing, and you can play it on Spotify now, this minute.
Yeah, in 2 seconds,
so from that point of view, I think radio is on a
downward spiral.
yeah.
And you believe that. So so what I was saying there was, is he just saying that because you have to get
No.
fucked out?
I've felt that way for a long time. Yeah. And the likes of what you're doing.
And is that why you went down the podcast route? So had you, like, was it in?
But we'd always podcasted our material anyway from our show in '98, so we just kept that up.
Then your own one, had you got plans to do that anyways, or was it like?
No, it was kind of forced on me because I'd no job. But it's I'm enjoying it. I didn't know how we were going to do. You know, when we were let go in April, we were thinking like, what the fuck are we going to do now?
Was it you and Jeremy?
Yeah, well,
think so.
Yeah.
Would you not do something without him? Or was the plan always just to be the two of you?
In the last few months, I've been doing stuff I've been doing stuff on News Talk. I've been doing fill-in work on News Talk. That's totally me on.
Yeah.
But the podcast, it's going well. It's a lot of work for not a lot of return so far. Hopefully that'll change over the next couple of months. I said I'd stick it out for a year, and if it's not making, if we can't make a living out of it, or at least something out of it, I'll go off and become a barman.
See, I think that's. I think it's. Although I wouldn't say it's a bright idea to put a plan in place for it or a timeline in place for it, because you don't know. You say, that was 12 months, that's up, but it could be the following month where boom, something blows. You know what I mean? But I suppose not really for yourself, because it's always used to. It's the radio show, so that's going to be consistent as that. Where it'd be different for us because. 1 week you feel stagnated and you're like, we're doing all right, and then the next week, boom, you're like, what the fuck? Where the fuck is this had to come from?
So I'm enjoying it. Opinions Matter is the name of the podcast. It's on Go Loud as well.
Check them out.
There you are. Right, so we've one thing there before we wrap up.
Quiz.
This week's question. Send her on there. Have you got Adrian's number? It's 6797 FM 104.
Very childish.
Oh, mate, I'm a
And as you know, you had a
fucking
plan today to make you live and constantly say the word childish. I want you saying that on your podcast as well. Here we are. This is your own
I don't want you cut out on the camera. I want you, like you want across that camera.
The go.
Yeah, what do you mean? That's a push door, not a pull door.
Right. So, who will I
Got
start
me
with?
first.
I'm shitting.
Is this history, yeah?
Is it history, Alan? General knowledge?
Yeah, no, these are both general knowledge. Yeah.
Oh, I'm shitting.
Okay. Which Irish county
Oh, shitting.
has the shortest coastline? Louth or Leitrim?
Oh, so it's a 50-50?
That's bollocks.
Leitrim.
Leitrim.
Yeah.
Why do you say Leitrim?
Guess. Pure guess.
You don't actually know.
No, how you having a brace? How do I know, bro?
The answer is Leitrim.
Yes!
4 kilometres of a coastline it has.
See, when it's a 50-50, the worst thing in the world you can do is start trying to envision it, and I'll just go bang and hope for the best. I'm happy with
Right.
that.
Bollocks.
Has Ireland won more Nobel Prizes or Eurovision Song Contests?
That is a tough one. That is a
I
fucking
know the
tough
answer.
one.
I know the answer.
Oh my God.
Has Ireland won more Nobel Prizes or Eurovision Song Contests?
Oh gosh, feel me heart beating. Johnny Logan, or whatever his name is, has won a few, good few.
He won twice, yeah.
Yeah, and
Hey.
no,
No
I'm trying to
hints,
think,
no
hang on.
clues.
No, because we have got a Nobel Prize. Did Seamus Heaney win a Nobel Prize recently? Before he kicked the book out, I thought he won a Nobel Prize. No, absolutely grand. Oh my God, my nerves are gone.
Seamus Heaney, that's mad that you're at saying that.
Why?
She, remember I saying I was in Glendalough, before I went to Glendalough, we went to the Devil's Glen.
Yeah,
And there's a load of Seamus Heaney quotes all over the gaff. He was from that neck of the woods. That's mad. I never heard of him before that.
See him?
Yeah.
I felt me leaving cert over him, but however.
I know, I thought it was that.
Yeah, thanks for backing me up.
I have that back. Fuck
Go
Seamus
on.
Heaney. Oh, Jesus.
Nobel Prizes or Eurovision Song Contests?
Eurovision, fuck it.
Yes!
Human.
Get in
We've
there.
won the Nobel Prize 11 times and the Eurovision 7 times.
Oh, do you know what? I knew it was 7. I knew it was 7.
But you thought we'd less Nobel Prizes?
Yeah, I thought we
well,
would
there
have
you
got about 5.
are. Yeah. So
Yeah.
there you are.
Till one.
He won Terry Flower, yeah.
Imagine this. Oh,
He's
it's
had to
on
come on
neck.
back. He's had to come on back.
Yeah.
I want history next week, lads. Me bollocks. Right, fuming. We wrap this up. Adrian, thanks for coming in to talk to us.
No
We really
problem at all,
do
lads.
appreciate
Great
it.
to meet you.
Legend, nice one for coming
And
in,
we'll
bro.
see you at the Christmas party this year.
Is there one?
What do you mean is that one?
You didn't get the game? Oh,
Right. No, there's not actually. There's not in the budget this year, COVID and all that. So we'll wrap her up. We'll see you next week. Johnny, take us out there.
Boom.
Subscribe to this podcast for free on the Go Loud app.
What you waiting for? Put your back in it. Just a little more. Throw your weight in it now. Tell your body you can. Walk it hard and long. When you finish that
The hip knocker.
song, go down.